Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Many Tribes, One Kingdom. It's your good friend John, here with today's video, and today we are going to be discussing the book of Genesis within the Bible. Alright, so the book of Genesis. It was written by Moses at around 1400 to 1450 BC, but it was made up of earlier documents. And to see more on that, there are plenty of professionals who can explain all of that to you. But it's also called the Book of Beginnings or the Book of Bereshith in Hebrew. I'm certain I mispronounced that name, so feel free to have at it in the comments. Every single theme and narrative of Scripture is set up in this single book. It also covers the greatest span of time in the Bible, approximately between 2,000 and 2,500 years of Earth's history are covered in this one book. Sorry guys, my allergies are killing me. So, let's summarize it first. Genesis begins with God creating the universe. The existence of God is not argued, and he's not shown to have a beginning. In fact, God began the beginning. The narrative takes us through 6 days of creation, wherein God creates everything from the largest galaxy in the heavens, see day 4, to the simple earthworm, which burrows through the dirt, see day 6. God caps off his creation with Adam, the first man created in the image of God. From Adam, God makes Eve, also made in the image of God. They are given dominion over the earth, assigned to rule in God's name. He places them in a perfect paradise, the Garden of Eden, and communicates with them daily. With creation completed, God rests on the seventh day, thus establishing the 7-day week. This perfect world doesn't last, sadly. When God placed Adam and Eve in Eden, he commanded them that they could not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. One of the other created beings, identified as the serpent, convinces them to disobey God and eat the fruit anyway. With that act, they can no longer exist in perfect harmony with their creator. God casts them out of Eden, and he also revokes their immortality. So now they will die because they are sinners. However, God first promises a future deliverer who will one day defeat the serpent and save the lost mankind. Allergies are killing me. From this event, we can read about the increasingly sinful nature of humanity and how much they spiral downward from their creator. In fact, it starts almost immediately. Adam and Eve's first 2 sons, Cain and Abel, are part of a terrible tragedy in which Cain kills Abel out of jealousy. The earth continues to turn to violence, and this is not helped at all when the sons of God, probably fallen angels, entered the picture and became the progenitor of the giants. Finally, God announces his intent to start over by wiping out all of the sinful people with a great flood. Only one family, that of Noah, receives grace. Through Noah's obedience, both animal and mankind continue to live past the great flood. However, sadly, this does not lead to a new age of righteousness. Almost immediately after the flood, man engages in sin once again. This leads to the events at the Tower of Babel, where God divides the people into smaller groups and changes their one universal language to smaller groups of languages to stop their rebellion. From here, Genesis shifts its focus from all of humanity to one specific family. A man named Abram, renamed Abraham by God, lives in obedience to God and is promised a land for his family. Although Abraham himself is disobedient from time to time, showing the effects that sin still has, he always returns to God. And because of this, God makes a covenant with Abraham and allows him and his elderly wife Sarah to conceive a son, Isaac. Isaac would also have 2 sons, Esau and Jacob. After Jacob tricks both his father and his brother, he flees back to his mother's family, and there he actually marries 4 women, Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah. and they have a total of 12 sons and at least one daughter. Jacob is eventually reconciled with his family. The last section of Genesis focuses on Joseph, Jacob's favorite son. After seeing the favor he has for Joseph, Jacob's other sons, minus Benjamin, which was Joseph's little brother, sell him into slavery and make their father Jacob believe he is dead. Joseph is taken to Egypt to be a slave, where despite hardships and lies, he remains faithful to God. Through his faith, God enables Joseph to save the Egyptians from a great famine and allows them to become a great people. In fact, his brothers eventually come to Egypt from the land of Canaan to buy food, and after not recognizing Joseph at first, they prove that they have changed. Joseph tests them and proves that they have changed from the men who sold him into slavery. Joseph reveals himself to his family, and they, along with their father, move to Egypt under the protection of Joseph and with Pharaoh's blessing. Genesis closes with the blessing of Jacob for his 12 sons, and then his death and Joseph's promise to care for his family after their father's death, despite what they did to him in the past. So as I said, every single theme that we see throughout Scripture has its foundations in the book of Genesis. We see the perfect creation of God, which is then corrupted by sin and disobedience on the part of the created beings, mostly man and the serpent, whom we will get into in a later video. We see the promise of a Redeemer who will save mankind. We see the penalty for sin, which is death. We see the origins of marriage, family, and language, and the work week. We see the concepts of sacrifice, forgiveness, and reconciliation. And lastly, and most importantly, it's in the pages of Genesis that the groundwork for the ministry of Jesus is laid. So, one thing we went over in class is that the Bible can be divided into 6 parts of a meta-narrative. And Genesis, as I said earlier, covers the longest span of time, and it also covers 3 parts of that meta-narrative: creation, the fall, and God choosing a people for himself to begin the act of restoration. So, that's the book of Genesis. If you haven't read it yet, I would recommend that you read it. I believe it's foundational to any Christian's faith. So, if you haven't read Genesis yet, I cannot recommend it enough. Keep tuning in, because we will be covering each book of the Bible and showing how they all connect, and showing the connection not only to the ministry of Jesus, but the grand narrative that God has laid out through the pages of Scripture. If you enjoy videos about the Bible, Christianity, Christian books, Christian music, and so on, please hit that subscribe button. And if you've already subscribed, please hit the bell notification so you can stay up to date with all of our latest content. What are your thoughts on the book of Genesis? I would love to know. Please give this video a like and share it with your friends, family, loved ones, and enemies. Have a great day, and God bless all of you.